Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. I'm Fionuala, and this is the place you go to if you want to delve into the world of green and flowering and flourishing and thriving and beautiful plants. And today what I'm going to talk about is the fabulous world of self-seeding plants. Now, these are the plants that give you free baby plants. And the reason I'm talking about it today is because in my garden, almost everywhere you look, there's little seedlings popping up. And I really wanted to share this with you before you start weeding in your own garden and accidentally take out all your free baby plants. So let's dive right in. So, quick reminder, what is a self-seeding plant? They're those super generous flowering plants that grow, flower, drop seeds. Those seeds then germinate, and next thing you know, you have got free baby plants with zero effort on your part. Let that sink in for a second. Just think of this. Look all around me for a second. I did not plant any of these. They all popped up all by themselves. So think about that. If you're the kind of gardener that wants lush greenery and that kind of effortless look of abundant, beautiful blooms in spring, a self-seeding plant is exactly what you want to do. Get them started now in the spring and then just let them go and let nature take its course. So self-seeding plants are for the sort of people who love to share their love of gardening with their friends and family. They're for the people who have bare patches of dirt and they want to do as little as possible, but yet have a lot of blooming flowers and greenery all year long. Self-seeding plants are the way to go. Now, what I'm standing in front of right now are those ginormous geraniums, Geranium matarense, that we saw in the video that Janie and I shot last May or June. Fabulous, beautiful flowers, and then this is what happens the next year. Let me show you what they look like when they just pop up out of the ground. Follow along. So that video with Janie last year, and we all saw those big, ginormous plants with huge heads of pink blooms. They bloomed, they set seeds, those seeds dropped. They fell to the ground, the winter rains came. Next thing you know, they've germinated and they've popped up. And look at this, I have a whole swath of them. As far as the eye can see, we've got ginormous geranium babies. And they're everywhere, all over the place. Obviously, I don't let every single one of them exist right where they put themselves. Instead, what I'm going to do is transplant some, move some to different places, pot some up and give them to friends and family. They're amazing plants. I just absolutely love them. And look how many I have to share. I happen to really love Geranium matarense, totally love them, as you probably have guessed right now. But one thing I really love is occasionally they will throw a sport of a white one. You saw that in last year's video. Well, here is the clump of white Geranium matarense seedlings. And you can kind of tell the difference. The little stems on them are a little different. The leaves are brighter green. I cannot wait to transplant these ones. They are super cool. And in there, another little self-seeder right in there. I'm seeing an echium. There's borage over there. There's flowering tobacco. I'm going to have a lot of fun showing you the seedlings you need to watch out for in your own garden. Let's talk about borage for a second. Borage is the most beautiful little blue flowered flower, but it's also edible, can be used for culinary purposes. The other thing that is absolutely wonderful is that honeybees love it. Now today, it's early February, it's cold, the bees are not out and about, but the minute the sun comes out and the temperatures go above 55 or so, this will have bees all over it. And borage is one of those plants you really need to only plant once or twice, and next thing it'll pop up all over your garden. Over here we've got another borage popping up out of nowhere, but what I wanted to look at right here are echium seedlings. A little bit fuzzy, a little bit spiky, but oh my goodness, Echium is fantastic. It's another one absolutely loved by bees. Hummingbirds like it too, which is so cool when you see a hummingbird going all the way up in Echium, sipping at the flowers. But this is what it looks like in its first year. This is a baby seedling. I'll show you its second year. And then if you look back at that video shot last May, you'll see what it becomes. This is year 2, and this is going to shoot up to 15 feet tall by summertime. Totally amazing self-seeder. Right here we have a California poppy that's going to be blooming. I'm just looking to see if there's any buds yet. It's going to be blooming before we know it. And I've got lots of baby California poppy seedlings all over the place. Another thing you do not want to weed out accidentally. So here's the thing you should remember. Self-seeding plants are totally fantastic. They choose the spot where they're going to grow and flourish and do their thing. And if you look around here, they're pretty not picky. I mean, I've got some Geranium matarenses popping up through rose bushes. I've got a lot popping up in the middle of the pathway. But the ones that are in the best spots, they're going to really thrive and really flourish and make your garden look amazing. One of my favorite self-seeding plants is flowering tobacco for a couple of reasons. One, it seems to bloom pretty much all the time here in Zone 9B, Northern California. And another thing I totally love about it is that the pollinators love it. Honeybees, hummingbirds, it keeps them happy all year long. But the third thing that absolutely blows me away every time is that it hybridizes. All that pollination going on between one kind of flowering tobacco and another. Suddenly I've got new hybrids popping up in my garden, colors that nobody's ever seen before. And that is so cool. Wherever they put themselves, whether it's in the middle of a rose bush like the one over there or in the middle of a pathway like over here, you do not need to leave them there. The best thing you can do is to gently tease them up, dig them up, pot them up, and transplant them somewhere else. Or pot them up, grow them on, and give them to friends. Let me show you how to do that. So I'm back to my clump here of tons and tons of beautiful Geranium matarenses that I'm going to transplant to a different spot. So, gloves, trowel, this handy little weeder tool, because they act like weeds. They're not actually weeds. I'm really trying to save them. So, I've got a pot of very nice, well-draining soil. I've got all my plants right here, and I just want to point out that I have more than Geranium matarenses in here. I've got delphiniums popping up all over the place too. So I'm going to start with the delphiniums, pot up a few of those, share them with friends. And really carefully, this one looks kind of deeply rooted. Carefully get them up as best I can. As many of the roots as I can get. Look, can you see right there? And I'm going to pop it right in the pot right here, firming it down so all the little roots meet the soil. Top it off. And I had some great delphiniums over in this spot last year. What I want to do is to get them in a whole different part of my garden. So I'm going to pot up quite a few and move them to where there have been no delphiniums growing at all. So right in this spot alone, we've got Geranium matarenses, Echiums, delphiniums. It's just this incredibly generous bunch of plants giving me incredibly beautiful plants. And if you look carefully, I've also got some acorns sprouting right now. Talk about generous self-seeders. I've got live oaks here in West Petaluma. Okay, one Geranium matarense potted up. And I know exactly who this is going to. So just to identify, if you've had delphiniums in your garden before, this particular seedling is Delphinium belladonna, Shiny leaves, beautiful, beautiful blue flowers. Absolutely love it. This is a geranium. And I'll show you, we've seen the echiums, but here's a couple more really great, generous self-seeders that we've got growing just in my garden. I've got alyssum, I've got borage, we mentioned that before. I've got echiums and geraniums and flowering tobacco of a lot of different kinds at this point. A little later in the season, I'm going to see zinnias popping up and sunflowers. They're all very generous self-seeders also. And in the world of herbs, I have parsley and chamomile and dill, basil sometimes, but generally it germinates too soon around here and then the frost gets it. It is a fabulous world, the whole self-seeding thing, and it is so much fun getting free plants. So much fun. Let's go find some more. Okay, right here there's so much going on. I don't even know where to start, except this is flowering tobacco. This one right here, and it looks to me like it's probably one of the hybrids I was telling you about, where some of my perfume blues have mixed up and hung out with the big, tall Sylvestris types. It's going to result in something amazing. I'll show you later on in the year. So flowering tobacco, bunch of flowering tobacco seedlings right here. We got a little more borage. And then this is Cerinthe, or blue honeywort. Absolutely love this plant. It's one of my total favorite self-seeders. It is just stunning looking, looks kind of like a succulent almost. And if you look carefully right here, you can see it's almost ready to bloom. Another one that the bees really like. The ducks are a little bit noisy right now, but hopefully you can hear me over them. Just wanted to point out this clump of nasturtium seedlings. Nasturtiums are another amazing self-seeder. They're growing okay here because they're under the shelter of an oak tree. They're very frost tender in general, but as you can see, the frost isn't hitting them. And this bunch of nasturtium seedlings are going to turn into the most amazing flower display. And this is another one of those plants that hybridizes in your garden. You may plant an orange one, but after a year or two, you're going to find out they've turned into different colors. The seedlings are different colors. I cannot wait to show you the different colors these are all going to be. But because they're all in the middle of a pathway, I am definitely going to transplant some of these to a different bit of my garden. I was going to talk about euphorbia. It's another great self-seeder and another plant that's hybridizing in my garden. If you can look carefully at this one, it's going to be in full flower in a couple of weeks, but it is a hybrid of black pearl and wolfeneye, and it looks stunning. Look at this. Look at the color of the flowers. Let's go look at regular wolfeneye, and you'll see the difference. Look at this. This guy popped himself right here, and it's February. It's cold. The weather is kind of miserable, but this big pop of incredible spring color is so welcome right now. And it put itself right here. I did not plant it in the cracks of a sidewalk. And as you can see, here's some babies popping up that are going to bloom for me next February, right here. So I know I was talking about flowering plants, and this is a shrub that I really love. It's Pittosporum. It is a flowering shrub. It's just we don't know it for its flowers so much. Incredibly fragrant. I love the fragrance, but they're little tiny black flowers that you don't really notice until you notice the scent. But I just have to show you this. At the base of this Pittosporum up here, little seedlings of Pittosporums. I've got free baby shrubs. Look at free plants. How can you find fault with a free shrub? Honestly. So keep an eye out in your garden. You just never know what you're going to find. I know for a fact these little rose campions are seedlings that just popped up out of somewhere else entirely because I did not plant those guys there. And hellebores. Hellebores also self-seed. Look at these. Another self-seeder is Centranthus rubor. It's also called Jupiter's beard, and it's that gorgeous plant that you see, you know, June and July blooming all red and gorgeous. And obviously I would not have planted it here right in the middle of my asparagus patch, but I do appreciate it, so I'm not really going to move it. Listen, adorable, seems to bloom all year, super fragrant, and it self-seeds beautifully. Just have a look. Look at this, in the gravel. And over here by the tortoise, under here, and then over here another big clump. I did not plant those there, and you can see all the teeny tiny baby seedlings that are popping up right there. They're going to be blooming in no time. Nasturtiums. Who doesn't love a fabulous trailing nasturtium? I certainly do. Hummingbirds love them. Honeybees love them too. And have a look at this. These are sheltered because they're underneath our olive trees up here. So the frost hasn't got them. They've come right through all this cold weather. They are going to take off once the weather warms up. Nasturtiums are fabulous for a bunch of reasons. Their blooms are amazing. They are edible, but the flowers and the foliage is edible. But something I absolutely love with this whole self-seeding thing and the hybridization that happens in your yard is the different colors that can pop up next year. Like these were all orange trailing nasturtiums, just straight orange trailing nasturtiums. Last year we had a bunch of yellows sprinkled through somehow with the pollination. This year I'm noticing some of the Alaska hybrids are popping up. Now the Alaska hybrid nasturtiums are the ones with the variegated foliage, so I cannot wait to see what the blooms are going to look like. But yeah, all this amazing stuff happening with zero effort. Hey, so remember earlier we were talking about no additional effort in your garden, how you get all these incredible, gorgeous, lush, abundant blooms and flowers and greenery in your garden with minimal to zero effort. Well, I wanted to remind you about that when it comes to weeding. So late winter, early spring, that's when all these little seedlings are going to be popping up. So lessen the work in your garden. Be real careful about if you even want to weed. If you've got self-seeding euphorbias or borage or calendula or cosmos or zinnias or anything like that going on in your garden, you don't want to get out there too early to do your weeding, because you may be accidentally weeding out a whole clump of calendula or a patch of parsley. You just don't want to do it. So get to know your seedlings, get to know your plants, get to know what they like and where they may accidentally be growing. Be ready to transplant or be ready to just not weed for a while. Okay? You are going to have so much fun with your self-seeding plants. So we were talking about self-seeders and how you have to be careful about your weeding so that you don't actually weed out the plants that you really want. But sometimes there are actually weeds in your garden that do need weeding out. A lovely example of a self-seeding weed right here, which will get weeded out in just a minute. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, and watch that video we shot last May. It's up here someplace to see what these plants are going to turn into. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. You can always email me too. But the best thing of all is if you drop by and say hi at Cottage Gardens of Petaluma. See you soon. Happy gardening.